Issei Sagawa is a name not unfamiliar in Japan, with the story of killing his girlfriend, dismembering her body, and gradually eating it over several days. However, what is surprising is that he remained alive and freely walked outside the law. Issei Sagawa was born in 1949 in Kyogo Prefecture, Kobe, Japan, into a wealthy and powerful family. Standing at 1.48 meters tall, weighing 45 kilograms, with a coarse and unattractive face, he had a preference for tall, seductive Western women. His first missed victim was a German lecturer at the university he attended in Tokyo. Issei Sagawa broke into the woman's private residence with the intention of killing and possessing her, but he failed because the German lecturer woke up in time. After the failed break-in, he went to see a psychologist for counseling. With years of experience in the field, the doctor firmly concluded that Issei was mentally ill. However, ignoring the doctor's words, his father, a powerful businessman with a vast fortune, used the excuse of sending Sagawa to study in Paris, disregarding the doctor's warning about how dangerous Sagawa was. In 1981, while studying at the Sensei Institute, Sagawa's new target was the beautiful and alluring 25-year-old woman named Renee Hartevelt. To get close to her, Sagawa asked Renee to teach him German. Being wealthy, Sagawa could easily spend money on her, so Renee agreed. In the days that followed, he invited the 25-year-old woman to concerts, exhibitions, and even wrote love letters to her. Renee even invited Sagawa to her apartment for tea, and the two danced together. One day, Issei Sagawa invited Renee to his home for dinner. After she left, Sagawa sniffed and even licked the spots where she had stood and sat, while swearing he would eat her to possess her forever. He arranged a poetry reading session with the ill-fated woman on June 11, 1981. On that fateful day, while Renee was reading poetry, Sagawa, with a .22 caliber rifle he had purchased when he first arrived in Paris, slowly approached her from behind, aimed at the back of her neck, and shot her to death. Afterward, Sagawa had sexual intercourse with the corpse. Even more horrifying, not satisfied with his depraved desires, he dismembered the victim's body into several parts and stored them in the refrigerator, using them like a delicious sushi dish. After 2 days of indulging in his twisted urges, Sagawa began cleaning up everything and placed the remaining body parts of Renee into a suitcase, which he then took to a park to dispose of. The next morning, a couple out for a leisurely stroll in the park suddenly noticed a woman's hand sticking out of a suitcase covered in blood. In a panic, the couple quickly called the police to report it. The police arrived immediately after receiving the couple's call. They opened the suitcase and discovered the horrific scene. This was also the moment a manhunt for the owner of the chilling suitcase was launched. 2 days after the suitcase was discovered, the police quickly traced the address of Sagawa. In his refrigerator, they found it packed with parts of the woman's body. Of course, Sagawa could no longer deny his actions. Sagawa was put on trial within 2 years. However, thanks to the influence of his father and a top-tier lawyer, after 2 years of trial, French judge Jean-Louis Bruguière ultimately declared that Sagawa was mentally ill and needed to be treated indefinitely at the Paul Guéras Psychiatric Hospital. The trial concluded, and Sagawa escaped punishment under the label of insanity. 3 psychiatrists confirmed that Sagawa would never be cured and needed to be permanently isolated. In 1984, Sagawa's powerful father managed to funnel money and pull strings to have him transferred back to Japan. In 1986, Sagawa was immediately sent to Matsuzawa Hospital for psychological evaluation. The result was that the psychologists at Matsuzawa Hospital concluded Sagawa was completely normal psychologica, except for the fact that a cold-blooded demon resided in his soul. The Japanese authorities saw no reason to detain Sagawa in the hospital, given that he was mentally healthy, and so, on August 12, 1986, Sagawa was officially released. Upon his release, Sagawa didn't struggle to reintegrate into society. Instead, he became a celebrity. He never showed any remorse or regret for his past crimes. He even boasted about his horrific acts on television, as if they were a remarkable achievement. Sagawa accepted invitations to appear in several Japanese adult films and authored 4 books. One of them was an autobiography in which he detailed the gruesome process of committing his crime. Surprisingly, this chilling book sold up to 200,000 copies. Thanks to his father, Sagawa escaped the punishment for murder, and now he lived a life of luxury instead of feeling any guilt. From 1986 to 1997, Sagawa became the focus of tabloid newspapers. In addition to accepting interview requests, the deranged Sagawa also created videos to satisfy the curiosity of audiences who were eager to learn about a cannibalistic murderer. He even set up his own website dedicated to posting disturbing excerpts from his autobiography and engaging in discussions about why cannibalism shouldn't be considered something horrifying. After 1997, Sagawa's spotlight began to fade. Publishers no longer showed any interest in his works. With his fortune depleted, Sagawa was forced to struggle through life, looking for a job. In 2005, both of Sagawa's parents passed away. Not only did he lose his emotional support, but his relatives also prevented him from attending the funeral and expelled him from the family home. Sagawa had no choice but to live in a rundown, cramped rental apartment, surviving on government welfare. However, not long after, this allowance was cut off, and Sagawa had to fend for himself to earn a living. In an interview with Vice magazine in 2009, Sagawa said that being forced to make a living while everyone knew he was a cannibalistic murderer was a terrible punishment for him. It is clear that every crime must be punished, sooner or later, and in one way or another. Going from a life of luxury to becoming a homeless man, struggling for every meal under the scornful eyes of society, can be considered a fitting punishment for this cold-blooded killer. The story of the cold-blooded cannibal killer in Japan was retold in a documentary titled The Cannibal That Walked Free, aired by Channel 5 and released in 2007, which continues to shock audiences to this day. The documentary is crafted in a chilling style, with most of its footage sourced from real-life material without embellishment or alteration. On the website Documentary Heaven, the film received a high rating of nearly 8 out of 10. Viewers gave it positive feedback for its concise content, clear presentation, and its critical stance toward Issei Sagawa's carefree post-crime life. After watching, many viewers expressed outrage and indignation in their comments. One viewer voiced frustration, saying what angered them most was not only the fact that the murderer killed the innocent Renee Hartevelt, a woman who had once treated him kindly, but also that he became a celebrity in Japan for his crimes. Meanwhile, another user on YouTube, where the film is available for free, left a bitter remark, stating that the world we live in is unbearably cruel, and that people must remain extremely cautious of what's happening around them. With a runtime of just 46 minutes, The Cannibal That Walked Free is a film that distills the most striking details of Issei Sagawa's story, incorporating perspectives from those involved. The documentary delves into the past of the cold-blooded murderer and offers viewers a direct look into the mind of the cannibal who shook the world. To this day, it remains one of the few carefully made documentaries about Issei Sagawa, the cannibal who walked free. The story of Issei Sagawa is not only a horrifying indictment of humanity, but also a wake-up call to the flaws in the legal system and social morality. A cold-blooded murderer who escaped justice through power and money, and was even glorified as a celebrity. This is a tragedy for justice and compassion. Though he ended his life in loneliness, poverty, and the contempt of society, that was never enough to ease the pain he caused. Crime, no matter how well concealed or glamorized, always leaves an indelible stain on history and the human conscience.